There was a time when I was chasing answers as if my life depended on them. Every silence felt like a question I had to solve. Every pause, a test I had to pass. I would sit awake at night, replaying moments, trying to understand where I went wrong, who I was supposed to be, what I had missed. But life, in its quiet way, was not waiting for me to figure it out. It was waiting for me to stop running. I remember an old man I met in a mountain village during a storm. He was sitting by a wooden gate, carving something out of stone. When I asked him what he was making, he smiled and said, "Peace." I laughed softly, thinking he was joking. But he looked up with eyes that had seen more winters than I could imagine, and said, "Everyone climbs mountains to find peace. But peace has never been hiding at the top. It is sitting here, waiting for you to stop climbing." That night, the wind howled through the trees, and for the first time in years, I did not try to escape the noise. I listened. I realized the storm outside sounded exactly like the one inside me. Weeks later, when I returned home, I could not stop thinking about that man. My life was full of questions that no one could answer. Questions about love that faded, about choices I regretted, about dreams that slipped away. I went looking for closure, as if life owed me explanations. But the harder I looked, the more lost I became. Until one evening, while walking near a lake at dusk, I saw a heron standing motionless in the water. It did not move, did not chase, did not try. Yet when the moment came, it struck with perfect grace. One quiet movement, no wasted effort. I stood there for hours, watching that stillness breathe. And in that reflection, I understood something the old man had been trying to tell me. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of peace. Days turned into months, and I began to change in small ways. I stopped trying to fill every silence. I stopped searching for meaning in every pain. I began to notice how the morning light touched the leaves differently when I was not distracted. I began to hear my own breath again, slow, patient, forgiving. And when memories resurfaced that once tore me apart, I no longer fought them. I let them pass through like clouds moving across a calm sky. Healing was not about finding answers anymore. It was about surrendering the need for them. Once, I met a woman on a train who was carrying a book without a title. She told me it was her journal, and that she wrote in it only when she stopped trying to control life. "Every page begins the same way," she said. "Dear Stillness, teach me again." I smiled, thinking of how far I had come, from fighting silence to learning from it. When she stepped off at the next station, I realized she had given me a gift without even knowing it. Permission to not know everything. Permission to breathe in uncertainty and still be at peace. I used to believe that understanding would save me, that if I could explain my pain, I could erase it. But now I know that life's beauty often hides in what we cannot explain, in the pauses between heartbreak and healing, in the quiet moments that do not demand meaning. The old man, the heron, the woman on the train, they were all teaching the same thing in different ways. The world whispers its wisdom, but only stillness can hear it. So I began a new kind of prayer, not for answers, but for awareness. I started to say, if this moment is all I have, let me be in it fully. And slowly, life responded. The noise softened. The questions lost their urgency. And I found myself, not as someone who had figured it out, but as someone finally willing to let life unfold as it was meant to. Maybe the truth is this: we do not need all the answers to move forward. Sometimes the path reveals itself only when we stop trying to light it. Sometimes acceptance is not giving up. It is giving in to the wisdom of what is. There will come a time when you will be tired of searching, when every question will echo into silence, and you will think you are lost. But that silence, that stillness, is not your ending. It is your beginning. When you stop demanding answers, life finally begins to speak. If this story touched you, share it with someone who is still searching for their peace. And if you have found comfort in the quiet, tell us in the comments. What has stillness taught you? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Legacy Alive, where every story reminds us that wisdom often hides in silence.